He serves as chair of the Reston Photographic Society, as a board member of the League of Reston Artists, and as a board member of the Nature Visions Photo Expo. He's also a graduate of the NVACC Joe Miller Seminar on Judging and has judged many photography competitions over the years, helping participants to learn from each competition and to enjoy sharing their images in a competitive setting. These experiences have given him considerable insight into the judging process, which he shares with us this evening. I give you Ellis Rosenberg.
Yeah, thanks, John. Where did you get all that from?
I found it on Google somewhere.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank John and Cheryl and Sam and the rest of the club for inviting me here tonight. I've been judging this club many times when we just used to have matted prints laid out on a table, and much fewer of them than we have tonight, but that's the way things go with COVID. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I spent many hours. I have 10 pages of written comments that I wrote in advance. In fact, I didn't even have time to finish the whole thing because I got called out on a kind of emergency problem. Maybe I'll be able to do it without the notes in some cases. But I enjoy judging. You know, a lot of people that win awards are real happy, and people that don't or don't like my comments look at me this way. You want to do that there, that just crushes me. But that's the way it goes.
Yep.
I hope nobody will be insulted, and I hope people get some advantage out of my critiques. By the way, we just started doing sharing in Reston. We have an informal share once a month, and it's working out really well. Everybody really enjoys it, and it's very informal. There's not much administration to it. We just get on and show our pictures. We all share the screen, so nobody has to collect them all. And it works really well. It's really a lot of fun, and it's no pressure on anybody, and it's real easy to do. So I think that's a good thing that you're doing.
Yeah, it'll be a nice addition to have that. We tried we did a peer critique during the summer that went really well.
Yeah.
So it'll be similar to that. So.
Yeah, we let everybody critique, everybody who's on the Zoom. So
yeah,
that works pretty well.
Okay.
Sometimes it doesn't when there's too many people, trying to talk at once. But
yeah.
It usually works out.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm gonna share my screen in just a second. But Cheryl, do you want to for the first set tell him how many he can have? You're on mute.
Let me unmute myself.
Yeah.
So we have 15 images in the first category, color novice. So that is first, second, third, and one honorable mention.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
All right, cool. And I'm going to go ahead and just make this wide. So can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
All right. Ellis, are you with me?
Yeah, I see a small issue here. When I wrote my comments, I wrote them against the number that was shown on the Google Drive.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let
me resort it. Let me just resort it. I forgot that it doesn't.
Do that? Okay. To make it easier for me.
Where's the sort? You're gonna put me on the oh, hold on. People are coming into the room. Library. Where's the sort? It's usually right here. Here, let me sort at the top level. Hold on.
So here's what you did. Go, Sam. Go back up.
Yeah, library.
Go back over to the grid.
Yeah.
Press the T key. Tango.
Oh, I wonder why that disappeared.
You hit T by accident at some point, I'm sure.
I'm sure I did.
Ask me how I know.
All right, I have to do this for each one. Here we go. All right, let me share again. Hold on. Don't you love just watching my eyeballs go all over the screen? Okay, is that the one you want to start with?
Yeah, Arlington Cemetery is the first one I have.
Yeah, there you go.
Now this is all novice color, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in this one, I say it's a nice Arlington Cemetery shot. I was there photographing during the Christmas wreath displays. It was very nice. But in this shot, the tombstones line up to make a really good composition. And the sky with the blue and the white and the clouds add a lot of interest to it. That's a really nice shot.
Sorry. I forgot I can't do, hold on. There we go. If I let somebody in, I'm just telling everybody as a caveat, if I let somebody in that's waiting in the room, it's going to do that. Every time I touch the screen, it's going to mess up Lightroom. So just bear with me tonight. You ready for me to go to the next one?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a really great architectural shot. Very well composed. As your eye travels from the bottom to the top, following an interesting pattern. The lighting is drab, which fits well in with the subject and the sky. But this is a good perspective, you know, from a piece of a building. It's really makes a nice architectural shot. Okay, the next. Now here we have a metal structure that fills the picture space, and it gives it some depth. Though it doesn't add a lot of interest to me. I don't see a lot of interest, you know, in the image itself, and that's just my own opinion. I'm sure the person that took it, you know, could add more interest to them, but it doesn't add a lot of interest to me. So we'll go to the next one. This tree reflection is very nicely done. The top of the image doesn't seem to fit in with that grass sticking up. And it seems quite busy. So I think I would crop just the top part of it out, just to get rid of that grass. And you just have the trees and then the reflection of the trees. Again, my opinion. Okay, next. Here we have a very well composed image. I would clone out the man-made items in the background. There's some telephone poles and wires and some houses. And then there's a man-made image on the right-hand side. I really like the color of the grass. The green just stands right out. The sky makes a nice background, and the screen makes a nice foreground. Now, I wouldn't clone out the man-made items because it's going to go into nature vision or anything like that, because that's their requirement. But I just think it would add to the image to have no man-made objects in it, because it really is a nice nature shot. And I think the man-made images are the only thing at all to take away from the overall nature look of the image. Okay, next. Here's a really nice still life. Great colors in the lampshade and great detail in the stand. The lighting in the background are ideal. The background makes the whole thing stand out. You know, the whole still life stand out very well. It's just a really nice shot. It's a great example of a well done still life. Okay, next. In this one, the stockade fencing makes a good composition with the grass and the trees. It's a good combination together. There's good detail in the fencing, and the oblique lines of the fence really add to the overall image. This is another well done shot, and I think the combination of the fencing in a natural nature atmosphere is really well done. Okay, next. Now, this one must have been added later because it wasn't in what I looked at, the train. But anyway, this one, this is a really, I think, a nice lineup of trains. They're all the same color. So there's a repeating pattern, you know, from one end to the other. It's a nice oblique line. It's a good composition. It's a good the sky makes a nice background. There's some dust spots in it, which I see at the top that could easily be eliminated. And I think the sand is a good foreground too. But the color of the railroad cars and the way they're lined up, I think really makes a great composition for this image. Okay, next. Now this to me looks like a large footprint that's in cake mud. The footprint is well positioned in the picture, but it has little in the way of visual elements or color or much of interest to me, because it's just just a muddy thing with a big footprint. Can't tell what the footprint is, but you know, there's nothing that really stands out in this image. There's no real subject. So for me, I just think it's just lacking some visual elements. Okay, next. Now here, the rays of the sun coming up into the clouds really make this one unique and creative. The three elements, the trees, the light, and the clouds, are all well positioned and add to the interest. This one is really like a biblical scene or something. The way that light is just coming, it looks like it's coming from the ground, but I'm sure it's coming from the background. But the way it shines through the image and lights up the edge of the cloud is really, really interesting and really unusual and unique. So I think this is good. I think the trees at the bottom also add interest, you know, to the composition. But it's the rays of the sun and the way they emanate out from one point, you know, throughout the whole image. It really makes for a nice image. Okay, the next one. In this one, I really like the way the trees are lined up, and the snow is a good foreground, a midground, and a background to really make the tree trunk stand out. There's a lot of symmetry in this shot also between the three lines of trees. But I think the snow as the floor of the trees and the brown trees coming up through the snow really make a good visual image. Okay, next. Here's a nice shot of tulips. There's good color composition with the red offsetting the yellow ones. And some of the tulips are closed, some are open, which is good also, because that makes it a more of a natural scene. And I like the way the green offsets the yellow and the red, but I think the red actually adds interest to it, more so than it was if it was an all yellow shot of tulips. Okay, next. In this font, I like the way the light emanates from the center outward. It's good composition. It shows up the patterns. The center font takes your eye through the image from about the middle of the bottom through all the way through to the end of the top. But I think it's the lighting in this one that really makes it interesting. The way the light is coming through the very center of the leaf pattern. And it's a great pattern shot also. But I think the one thing that really makes it nice and unique is the way the lighting is. And the lighting shows off the pattern of the font of the leaf. So it's a really nice image. Okay, next. Now, is this the next category, the novice monochrome? No, this is a monochrome.
No, there's color in it, I can see.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's 14.
Yeah.
Okay, the curved road makes for a good leading line. It looks like, to me, an effect or a filter was used to change the foliage, because if you zoom in a little bit, you can see the foliage doesn't really look natural. None of it does. It doesn't look like grass or plants, or it looks like something artificial. I don't know. I have no idea what the photographer did, but something in this makes the foliage look unnatural. But I think what makes this shot is the curved road that takes your eye from one end of the image to the other. And I think the way the baskets are hanging were nice too, but I really don't, I can't identify what the foliage is, because it doesn't look natural, especially if you zoom in on it. Okay, next. This is a great use of color. The beach structures are well positioned in the image, and the sky adds image, but the position of the beach structures, the way they're on a line that's not a straight line, it's more of an oblique line, really make it a nice composition. But I think what makes it stand out more than anything are the colors. The sky is nice too. Parts of it are blue, parts of it are white. So if you look up at the sky as the background, it makes a nice background for this image. It's a nice beach scene, and nice, really nice colors. Okay.
Sorry, I was muted. Do you want me to,
Novice monochrome.
well, do you want to go through and pick your ins and outs?
Oh,
for
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I forgot to do an in and out.
Yeah. That's okay. We can just go through them. I could just do this and we could just go through them really quick.
Can you show them all together in maybe two sections?
Sure. Oh, some of them are marked. Let me unmark them. Okay. Can you see everything okay?
Yeah, is this all of them?
Yep.
Okay. I think I would give the light emanating from the bottom as number 1.
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
This building is number 2.
Which,
The
I'm sorry,
building, up at the top.
this one?
Yep.
Okay.
The beach scene is number 3, the beach structures.
Okay.
And the stream up here looks like a scene in Rehoboth, Delaware. Is honorable mention.
Okay. And then Cheryl, do you want to go through and
Sure. So number 1 is called Sandstorm, and that's by, I lost my, Masood Hasnain.
Yeah, actually, thank you for that. And I had no idea to call it sandstorm or what, because it was taken in Saudi Arabia. So that was the reason I called sand. Thank you.
awesome.
Right. Number 2 is called Colorful Windows by Rick Leduca. I'm sorry, Rick Leduca.
Yeah. Do you want to put it up? So
Yeah, I'm trying to, I am not very good at Lightroom tonight for some reason. It's because my Zoom window is so humongous. I can't see around it. So hold on a second. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like all of a sudden, everything's gone. Greater than or equal to. All right, number 2.
most of you probably recognize this building. This is the one that's at the intersection of the Dulles Toll Road and Route 28.
Yeah.
And
Center for
security
Innovative
guard.
Technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was there on July 4th, and the security guard tried to throw me out. He said I was trespassing. I got him to call the owner, who gave me permission. So, little interesting story behind that. So yeah, I was just shooting from the ground up.
Beautiful colors. Looks great.
And number 3 is called Got Crayons, and that's by Tammy Smith.
Oh, nice. Tammy, are you on tonight? Maybe not.
Okay. Here
Honorable
we
mention.
go. Water Route or Root, depending on where you're from. And this is Hank Sloan.
Oh, excellent. I know Hank's on.
Yeah, so that is up near Manchester by the Sea in Massachusetts. And it's actually right behind a little clam house that we stopped to pick up some dinner
Wow.
at. And I appreciate the idea of taking all the man-made elements out of it, but just left it the way it was.
That's great. All right, ready to jump into monochrome?
So there are 13 images in this category tonight, and we have first, second, third, and one honorable mention.
Okay.
Hey, this one has a great feeling of a depth perspective. The composition is ideal. The leading line is a little bit off center, but it's positioned just where it should be in the composition. There are many shades of gray in this image. There's great details in the bricks, the tracks, and the structure. So overall, it's a great composition. I don't think it would be helped if there was a train, maybe a person or two to add some perspective, but I don't think it really needs anything. I think just the way it is. And there's so much intricacy in the metal structures. I mean, it's really amazing that they put something like this together. And like I say, that your eye just follows the tracks right from one end of the image to the other. Really, really well done. Okay. The oblique lines that line up with the fence really add interest. The snow adds interest too. There's good detail in the wood, but I think it's a good snow shot. I really like the way that the snow collects, on this the top of the fence, because it shows it's a pretty heavy snowstorm. And it's a nice fence, and it's well positioned. And it's a nice oblique line. And again, your eye travels from the left to the right all the way through the image space. So it's a nice image, and it's well done in monochrome with the snow. Okay, next. This weathered wood is interesting, and it shows a great detail in the grain. It shows it's very aged, and it's been there for a long time, and the grain is really deep and really weathered. There's really nice detail in the wood, but the impact of this is a little bit missing from me. Okay, next. Now, this one is a mystery with no real subject, but I wouldn't call it an abstract either, because there's really not much in the way of patterns. The light going from the bottom left darkens to the top right, which is an interesting aspect of the image. But a lot of judges don't like mysteries, they really want to try to identify with the subject so they could talk about it. And this one's quite a mystery. I have no idea what the subject could be. And that's fine in an abstract, but an abstract usually has patterns and lines and colors. And this doesn't have anything that, to me, would relate to an abstract. It does have some texture, which is common. Okay. Okay, this one has really good depth also. The structures, including the scallop arches, make for a good composition. As thus going from a dark foreground to a light background. But the more you look at this, the more you see. I mean, the minarets and the arches and the columns, it's really, really very nice done. But I think the lighting was really what makes this picture, because the sky is very bright, and you're looking from a shadow darkened area out into the light, and it makes those things that are in the light really stand out. But I think that the scallops is something that you don't really see much. You don't see in architecture in this country either. But overall, I think this is a really, really nice image, well composed image. Okay, next. Now, pigeons are a good choice for monochrome. There's good detail in the pavement. Maybe a little crop top and bottom would improve the image, maybe. I don't know. You'd have to try and see what it looks like. But I think if you had just a line of, maybe if you had a line of pigeons, it'd give it more interest. Because there's not much interest in the pavement, especially the top part of the pavement. There's really nothing there that adds any interest. So I would try that and see what it looks like, and that's what you can do. Okay, next. Here we have a tangle of snow-covered tree limbs and roots that are interesting. The composition is good. The bleak foreground fits in with the image because it's a dreary, snowy day. You don't want to have a bright blue sky. In an image like this, other snow images look really good with a blue sky. But this one, I think, is well complemented with a drab, dreary sky. And the tangle of wood is really interesting. How did it get shapes like curved shapes? And, you know, there's everywhere you look, every part of this image has a different shape. So I think that makes it very interesting. And again, I think this is a good candidate for monochrome. Okay, next. Now here we have a group of hay rolls lined up in a snowy field. It does show interest, but I would crop off a bit of the top anyway. I think I would take it down to where those big tree branches come out, and I would crop it there. Because I think if you crop it there, you'd have more focus on the hay bales. And I think the snow is a nice add to the image also. But the hay bales are a nice circular shape. Everybody knows what they are. But I think that crop from the top a bit would make an improvement in this image. Okay, next. This is quite an aerial shot. Maybe with a drone mounted camera. I'm not sure how else you could do this. The patterns in the field are quite unique and make quite an impact. It looks like the farmer was trying to make an artistic statement with his tractor. And that's what he was trying to do. He succeeded. So I've never seen anything like this. It is like an artistic statement, which you wouldn't think a farmer would be interested in doing. I don't know if he's I don't know what he's doing with that tractor, but you can see the tractor, you know, in this image. But why would he make circles like that? Other than, I don't know, other than for artistic reasons. So this one is really very, very unique image. And I guess it was taken from a drone or some much higher elevation than the ground, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see the whole scope of the whole image. You wouldn't be able to see it. Very, very interesting. Okay, next. Now this has interesting patterns, shapes, and textures, and good composition and good lighting. When I first saw this, I thought that when you were talking about monochrome, you meant black and white, but now I understand that a single color like brown is acceptable as a monochrome. So that's fine, you know, and there are a lot of shades of brown in this one, but the whole image is tan or brown. It's different shades of brown. So in that case, you would call it a monochrome. But it does have a lot of nice textures and patterns and shapes. So it's a nice image. Okay, next. Now this looks just like a Roman aqueduct that I saw in Italy. The shadows really add a lot to the image. The composition is ideal, again with oblique lines. A nice detail in the stone. And the sky also complements this image as a background. But I think what makes this more than anything, besides the structure itself, which is very, very well done, is the shadows. The way the sun is falling and it makes a shadow on each one of those columns. And it lights up, you know, beyond the shadow, it lights up the sun's coming from the side, it really lights up that part of the image. But it's a great composition. It's an interesting image of an old Roman aqueduct. Amazing how they built it back then. Okay, next. Here's a good architectural shot of a uniquely shaped building. The composition takes your eye from the wide bottom to the narrower top. Again, a good subject for a monochrome. The scattered clouds make for a good background. I think the clouds really add to it because the whole thing is you know, you don't want to, in this one anyway, I wouldn't want a bright sunny sky. I think the way the sky is and the cloudiness really adds to the color or the black and white, the grays of the building. And I like the way it's taken from the bottom looking up, because it adds really a lot of perspective to it. And it's very uniquely shaped building. Okay, next. And here's a nice arrangement of boards. I guess they're boards. But there's an unnatural section on the left. It looks like there was a gap between the gourds. Between all the gourds is black. But the section I'm looking at, I'm sure you can see it on the left-hand side. Looks like you're looking through the gourd. I mean, on the right-hand side, I'm sorry.
Oh, here.
Yeah. So I would, you know, you could easily clone that out and make that black. So the whole, between all the gourds would be black, because that just really looks out of place. And I think it takes your eye off the benefits of the image. Okay. That's it for this group. How many, it's 1, 2, 3, and how many honorable?
1.
Okay, 1. Okay. Is this all of them on the bottom? Oh, yeah, okay.
There we go.
I think I would take the railroad scene. Up, the one in the upper left is 1.
Okay.
And the scene with the scallop arches and is number 2. And the aqueduct is number 3. And the farmer field, as honorable mention.
Oh, why does it have a 1? Hold on. Sorry. Jeez.
Here we go. Number 1. It's the Night Station by Rick Leduca.
Yeah, that was taken in Lisbon.
Oh, nice.
And I made a trip, about a 45-minute train ride just to get to that station to take this picture. So it's one of my favorites. Thank you.
I hope it was worth it. I think it was.
Number 2 is Masood again with Agra Fort.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yes, this is back home in Agra near Taj Mahal. So there is a big old fort. I have very many photographs from that place. So I decided this because of pattern. Thank you.
Very nice.
Number 3 is Rick again, and I need your help in pronouncing this. It is an aqueduct.
Segovia.
Segovia.
It's in Spain,
Oh,
outside of Madrid. And yeah, it's a Roman aqueduct. And the amazing thing is they didn't use any mortar when they built that. It's just
Right.
compression.
Wow.
Amazing.
And honorable mention goes to Carolyn with the crop circles.
Yay, Carolyn.
Thank you. Yeah, that was an airplane view during harvest at the Palouse. It was actually dark brown soil. It was really kind of a nice contrast outside, but that chocolate just kind of caught my attention. So
Neat. Very nice.
Very nice.
thank you.
Okay. We're going to intermediate color.
Okay, we have 23 images here. So you can have first, second, third, and 2 honorable mentions.
Good. This is a great shot that shows the depth. Lights emanating from the center of the image outward really add to the effect. It looks like kind of like an explosion of light. The people give scale to the image. It's a good composition and arrangement. And the elements of it really have an impact. It's like I say, it looks like the lights like exploding from the center of it, like a firework or something, coming out in all directions, top, bottom, and side. And it looks like it's maybe a scene in an airport or something, but everything about this is well done. Good composition. The colors are nice, the lighting, everything about it is very well done. Very unique, very, very nice. Okay, next. This is a quite unique shot, thanks to post-processing and the photographer's imagination and skill. You have a spiral of galaxy in the middle of a flower in a clouded sky. It has all the elements of seemingly rotating in the same direction. And the image has a lot of impact and appeal. You have to really look at this one, especially the flower with the circular galaxy in the middle of it. I mean, that's really amazingly done. Really takes a lot of creativity to put something like this together. And like I said, everything's rotating in the same direction, a counterclockwise direction. Very, very nice. Okay, next. Here we have bubbles floating off a sphere. It looks unique. The black background for the bubbles is ideal. The colors are interesting. It's really a nice abstract shot. I think there are a lot of abstracts coming up, and I guess part of that is the Joe Miller show that's coming up. I think the time for submitting is already ended, so we'll see what that looks like. This is the first year Joe has allowed people from non-NVACC clubs to exhibit. I think it's open to everyone now, but in the past it's only been clubs like your club and Reston and NPS and Manassas Warrington. They were the only ones that were allowed to enter the show. But this year it's open to everyone, so we'll see what kind of effect that has. I think it's going to be virtual also. Okay, the next. Now the center of this one is sharp, but the outer parts of the circle are very soft. Now combinations of sharpness and softness, sometimes really work. But to me, in this one, the softness is so soft that it obscures any detail in the outer part of the circle. You really don't see any detail at all. There is a place for softness in an image, but in my own opinion, this isn't the place for it. So again, this looks like an abstract, also. And there, like I say, a lot of cases, the sharpness, and especially sharpness in the center, surrounded by softness, works. But this case, I don't know if it really works for me. Anyway, next one. Here's a real interesting abstract, I guess you'd call it too. Unusual with bubbles sitting on top of a rectangle. It's really a good composition, very unique. And the colors are reflected nicely off the bubbles. You can see a lot of different colors coming off this bubble. But it's very unique and creative to have, you know, something like this, you know, where you have a rectangle shape and you have bubbles sitting on top of it. I'm not sure how the photographer did it. It's quite interesting. Okay, next. Now this shot holds your interest. It's not very usual. It's something I've never seen. Most people have never seen before. It has a good composition and a good structure. And here's a case where the colors go very well with the blue sky. You don't see much of the sky, but it is the only part of the background. I like the fact too that on the bottom left there's like a kind of a tunnel shape. And the shapes of the structure are very, very interesting. The whole thing is interesting and very different. You know, but not something you see every day, that's for sure. Okay, next. Now here the photographer arranged eggs in an egg carton. The various colors create an image that holds some interest due to the fact that the colors are various and they're lined up. But other than that, I don't see much of interest in this shot, to me anyway. Next. This is a great arrangement of many, looks like blankets or fabrics. I counted 56 different fabrics, 56 in one image. Each one having unique colors, patterns, and shapes. It's quite a dazzling display of handiwork with good impact and appeal. So much work must have gone into creating all these fabrics and then lining them up. It just really takes, you know, you have to take a deep breath. To me, I do when I see it. The more you look, the more unique things you see about it, the more artistic venues are built into the fabrics, the colors, the shapes, the lines, the sizes. It's very, very, very interesting. Okay, next. Here we have a close-up of a many-legged striped caterpillar with outstanding colors and patterns. The caterpillar is on an oblique angle, and a nicely burred background makes the caterpillar stand out in the image. So you can just, I mean, the image is of the caterpillar, but it doesn't have a distracting background. The background fits in very well with the subject. Okay, next. Now this looks like a fern plant with the main stem going diagonally through the picture space. It's a nice arrangement and composition, but I like the way that main stem goes, you know, from one corner to the other, and all the other stems emanate from the main one, and all the leaves emanate from that. So if you start with the stem, it takes your eye through the entire image. So in that respect, it's well done. I think the lighting is interesting too. Some of the ferns are that reflect light, and others don't. You know, others that are deeper into the foliage don't reflect it, but the ones on the surface seem to reflect some light. Okay, next. Now here's an interesting abstract with many colored lines and two oblong lines meeting in the middle. The composition shows motion and a nice arrangement of colors. It's quite unique, inventive, and original. This is another nice, really interesting abstract that is probably a made abstract combining different things. But the more you look at it, the more you see the colors and the movement, especially the background. Everything seems to be moving, you know, in a counterclockwise direction. So very unique and interesting creative abstract. Okay, next. Here we have a road going along the side of a mountain and then flat land. The road leads your eye through the image. The dynamic background of dark mountains and sky are nice, and it really adds to the composition. The vehicle adds scale to this landscape. If you didn't have the vehicle, you really couldn't tell precisely how big and wide of a landscape it was. But it is a great landscape shot. The vehicle makes it, you know, and the road itself is kind of a leading line that goes through the entire image. But except for the background. The background is darker mountains and white clouds. So that's really nice. Okay, next. Here we have what looks like a stack of boxes with a nice color combination. But again, it doesn't hold much interest for me as a subject. There are some dates in some of the boxes. It looks like one end of the box is white, one end is red. One end has a date, the other end doesn't. But just stacking up the boxes doesn't hold much interest for me anyway. Okay, next. I really like this lineup of flintlock rifles in the V-shaped pattern. It's really interesting how these rifles are all in perfect condition. It's like they were never ever used. It's a great composition, has a really great impact. But these look like maybe they were made and never used, or maybe they're made in a modern way, or you know, I don't know how they came up with a group of rifles that look like perfect condition, but are either original or replica of old flintlock rifles. Very, very interesting. Okay, next. Now here's a very creative scene of a ghost-like figure of a soldier hovering over a section of Arlington National Cemetery. The U.S. flag really stands out against the white, snowy background opposite the soldier. So this is a real piece of creative work, you know, putting that soldier in the way it is. And I'm assuming, yeah, the flag is natural, but the way it's unfurled and it's the only thing of color in the whole image. The whole image is monochrome, including, you know, the ghost of, I call it a ghost of the soldier. But here the flag is standing out in brilliant red, white, and blue. Very, very nice, very interesting, very well done, creative. Okay, next. Now here we have a car grill with an insignia. It has nice lines and curves. The insignia is sharp, but the horizontal lines go from soft to sharp, left to right, and top to bottom. And that takes away from the image for me, the way one line goes from, you know, again, it's a mixture of sharpness and softness. And some people like it, but it kind of, in this shot, it indicates a depth of field problem. I think if it was more of it was sharp, I think it would just make for a better image instead of it being soft. Also, there's some distracting elements around the rim of the car grill. There's some lights and some things that are just distracting. They don't really add anything at all to the image. Okay, next. Here's a reflection of water that has a zigzag pattern due to the water movement. Cropping out some of the lighter tops may help the composition. The subject is a bit light on interest to me. It's just, you know, I don't know what's being reflected, there is some artistic value to it, but I don't know. And I think the light part at the top, it doesn't show you what's being reflected. It just shows you the reflection, but that's okay. But what's that light part at the top? What does that have to do with it? I don't understand. Anyway, next, please. This is quite unique and looks like a flower macro with growths emanating out from the center. The shades of blue and the position of the growths add to the image. It looks so much like an explosion, the way it's bursting out from the center. I really like, I like the colors. They're very nice. The blue and the pink together in the same stamen or pistil of the flower really make it nice. And I like, if you look around the outer part of the image, it's all blue. And you see a lot of pink in the inner center part of the image. So this is a really good macro, flower macro. Okay, next. Here we have a nice portrait. The model with her colored wrap stands out well from the large dark tree she's in front of. The background of fallen leaves also complements the portrait. This is really a nice portrait. I like the way her head is turned on an angle. And I like the way that she just kind of backs up into that tree. And the tree makes an interesting sort of background. It's not really the total background, but it's her background. And she's just right up against it. And she has many beautiful colors here on her wrap. And I really like the way her head is turned. It's not quite a profile, but it's not a face-on shot either. It's kind of something in between. This is very well done, a portrait shot. Okay, next. Now this Ferris wheel depicts motion, which it should. The decorative colored circles adds to the image, as does the colored spokes. Now they look like they're lit up, even though it's not nighttime. So that, I mean, those colors add to the dreariness of the sky anyway, and makes the whole thing stand out. There are nice patterns in the chairs also. But I think if instead of taking a Ferris wheel head on, I think this is a good way to get a little bit of a different composition, a little bit a different angle from your typical Ferris wheel shot. So this is really nice. Okay, next. Now here we have a macro with very limited depth of field. It's a mystery subject which could be part of a flower, but I can't really tell. But almost nothing in this image is sharp. Most of it is just, it's very soft. And what it is kind of a mystery. Maybe it's part of the flower, but anyway, it has some nice colors to it. Okay, next. Here's an interesting perspective of a building. I think it was taken from a great angle. But a question that I have, would it have been better if the American flag had been unfurled or not? I think personally it would have, but of course you can't control that situation when you're taking a picture. I mean, you can cut out that flag and you can superimpose another one on it. But for a natural picture, if that's the way the flag is, that's the way it is. I understand that. But I think the idea of having a flag all crunched up like that, doesn't make it add a lot. The building itself, I think, is really well done. And I think the flag is a big part of the image. But I think it would be better unfurled. Although I'm sure that that's probably the way it was. I would think that's the way it was when the shot was taken. You can't really control everything in the shot. Okay, next. Here we have a pattern of curved objects. not much in the way of color, and not much in the way of appeal to me. But I just don't see much in this as far as subject goes, colors go. It has some patterns, but that's kind of about it. Okay. How many honorables do we get?
Okay,
We get 2.
2 honorable mentions. Oh, some of these have things too. Sorry, I thought I got rid of all these. All right, cleaned up.
Okay. I think I'll take the one in the upper left. It's number 1.
This one?
Mhm.
Okay.
And the portrait is number 2.
I'm sorry, the what?
Portrait at the bottom, third one in from the left.
Okay.
And the colored fabrics is number 3.
Okay. Oh, is that behind?
Top right.
Right? Yep, right there.
Well, it's behind my Zoom window. Hold on.
Oh,
Let me do this. Okay.
And the Arlington Cemetery is the honorable.
Okay.
And the rifles is an honorable.
The car?
No, the rifles.
Oh, the rifles.
Yeah.
Okay.
pretty.
Okay, Cheryl.
Yep. All right. Number 1 is Fred Gillis, Vanishing Point.
Okay, that is the underground connection between the Smithsonian Art Museums, the modern and the traditional one.
Oh,
And it's always fascinating, even when you ride on it. So I happen to get it at a good time with good contrast.
yeah. Very good.
Cool.
Very nice.
Number 2 is Justina, and it's, oh, I'm gonna mess this up. It's Sorry Patterns. Sorry.
Thank you so much. That's from a photo shoot, fall photo shoot that I did with my neighbor. I thought it was quite nice for the team. Thank you.
Very nice.
Okay. Number 3 is Ken Wilcox, Indian Blankets.
Awesome. Ken, are you on? Okay.
Nope.
And then first
And-
honorable mention.
That is Greg DeCure, Keeping Watch.
Very nice.
Yeah, I did that about 2 weeks ago, and that's actually Annapolis National Cemetery.
Oh,
And the soldiers from the Korean War Memorial over in at the National Mall.
oh.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh, this is gonna be a shocker. Okay. Ooh. Okay. I have the title. It's called Oregon, and the artist is, I only have a last name, Pennington.
Oh, Tim.
Yeah, so that's called the Musket Organ. It's at the Springfield Armory National Historic Site up in Springfield, Massachusetts. So those are original 1860 air rifled muskets. Springfield Armory was the national armory that produced all those things back in the day. So they have quite a collection of them.
Wow.
Is it an actual organ now?
They call it the musket organ. I don't know that it actually is an organ or not, or it's just arranged in such that it is. It looks very much like an organ the way they have them arranged.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really neat.
It is really cool. Well, congratulations to everybody. All right, and we'll jump into Monochrome. We have 24 for this one. So about the same, Cheryl? Two honorable mention? Okay.
That's right.
Okay. This is intermediate monochrome. Here we have a section of a wall. Oh, wait.
Is this the right one for you?
I have it's number 52.
Okay, hold on. This is 59. So hold on. Oh, they get out of order.
Yeah.
Brother, hold on. Okay, here we go.
Yep, got it. Okay, great. This is a section of a wall, most likely a door, because there's some, you could see, if you zoom in, you could see some keyholes in it. And it has decorative pieces attached. It's a good use for monochrome. And it has the shades of gray make for a nice pattern. So between the objects that are stuck, that they're attached to the door, and the metal of the door itself, it makes for a nice composition. Okay, next. Here we have some plants assembled in a nice pattern. You have the smaller ones kind of in the center and the larger ones around the outside, with the very largest ones on the bottom. But to me, they're very dark, and the darkness is distracting. You can't see much in the way of detailed plants. You can't see any veins. You can't. To me, for a plant, it's just too dark of an image, in my opinion. So it distracts from the overall image of darkness. Okay, next. And this one is a similar picture with similar comments. It's very dark. If it's a plant, it's hard to even tell it's a plant. It's hard to tell what it is. It doesn't have any. It doesn't have much in the way, of aspects that you would hold your interest, hold my interest. Okay, next. Now here we have a really nice pattern of a circular plant that shows movement texture. The many shades of gray included in this image. It's a good composition, and the plant is perfect. The center of the plant itself is perfectly composed, being just right off center. It's not in a dead center. It's not all the way in the extreme corner. It's just in the right position. So this one has a lot of interest. It shows the texture. It shows a lot of different variations of gray. It shows a lot of different variations of lighting. This is very, very well done. Nice pattern. Okay, next. Here's another great architectural shot. It has a very unusual building features in the front of, in the foreground. It's a very nice example of urban buildings and skyscrapers all in its area altogether. It's well composed with some people adding scale. The shot's taken from an ideal perspective. It's much better than a full-on shot or side shot. It's just ideally composed. Because you can go and you can see a whole number of buildings going, from right to left. And the one on the right is really interesting. Can't really tell what kind of building it is, but really interesting shot. Okay, next. Now here's an image with nice patterns, with gears and textures. It looks like cast iron, but I can't really tell. But I think the gears and the slots and the different devices inside it, it looks like one piece of cast iron with all these different aspects of it. Again, nicely done in monochrome. Okay, next. Here we have a metal grill with many rectangular openings. It's framed in black. But, you know, looking at it again as a subject, it doesn't have much in the way of interest for me. Okay, next. Now, here's an architectural detail. It's a section of a building with nice curves and lines, nice patterns and lighting. It's quite appealing to look at this architectural detail. Part of a very, very nice, well-designed building. The lighting is ideal too. It's not too bright, it's not too dark, it's just right. But I think what makes this more than anything is the curvature. The curvature of this really 3 or 4 sets of curves. There's the curved windows, the curved upper part, the curved lower part, the curved railings, and they're all going in the same direction. So that really adds a lot of interest. Okay, next. Now this covered bridge has nice leading lines. It's an ideal composition that holds your interest. It's a good rendering in monochrome too. It's very well done. But the curved lines that lead into the bridge, I think, adds a lot more interest in a straight-on shot through the bridge with carriage. I really think it's better done this composition than other compositions I could think of. Maybe an idea would be to eliminate some of the tree limbs that are obscuring the opening to the covered bridge. You could easily clone them out. Might make a little bit better composition. Okay, next. Now this one looks like a flower macro that eats bugs, you know, traps the bugs between the teeth. It's a nice rendition of the lines on the edge of the petal, showing how it could trap an insect inside it and just slowly consume it. But I'm not sure, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. But it's a nice image, nice oval shape. And you know, the lines are actually kind of like the teeth of the edges of the flower. Very interesting. Okay, next. Here we have a spider web covered with water droplets. It's a good composition with the web emanating from the center, which is nicely off-centered in the image. Looking through the web, you could see that it's still raining because you could see droplets outside the web. So it's really a nice rainy, wet image. It's interesting too how many of the droplets are sticking to the spider web. Almost every inch of the web is covered with water. Okay, next. Here's a section of a wooden structure with good detail in the grain of the wood. But that's about it. I mean, as far as the subject goes, it doesn't really. Is my mic making a noise?
I don't know if it's you, but if everyone else can make sure they mute themselves. If I try to mute everybody, it's going to mess up the screen. So
Okay.
just everybody but Ellis mute.
If you can still hear it, let me know. It might be my speaker. I'm having trouble with it. Probably is.
Okay, you sound fine.
So yeah, there just isn't much in the way of subject for this one. So. Okay, next. Now here's a glass section of a possible window with nice curves encasing the glass. The sections have double triangles in the middle, which adds a lot of interest to it. The lighting is good. And the lighting, you know, kind of comes through the window. There's more light on the left than on the right. So as you go from left to right, it gets a little bit darker along the way. but as it's a good close-up, you know, of a glass structure. Okay, next. Now this looks like a dandelion. I think it's called a crown, but I'm not sure. In fact, the first photograph I ever took, the one I award was of a dandelion crown. The lighting is really good with the dark center and the lighter perimeter. There's really nice patterns emanating from the center of the dandelion. Very, very interesting shot. Well done. Good lighting. You know, it's not just all one thing. It changes. Okay, next we have next. That's all right. We have next. Here's a mall scene that shows good depth. There's nice light coming from the overhead skylights, and it's a good composition. You know, your eye goes right through the mall from one end to the other. You can see some stores on both sides, but they're not very distracting. So it's really a good shot of a mall, of a floor of a mall, and it works in monochrome too. Okay, next. Here's an upshot of rocks with really good texture shown in the rocks. It's a good composition with the trees, the rocks, and the sky. And again, nicely done in monochrome. This reminds me of when I was in San Andreas Fault, because the fault looks just like that. You can imagine the tectonic plates crashing into each other and one of them rising above the other and just shooting out of the ground. And that's what you have here. I'm not sure where it is, but it's similar to an uplift of a plate. So it's a great landscape. I like the trees at the bottom. It's got some nice shadows in it. There's some clouds peeking beyond the mountain, the upturned mountain. But this is definitely plate tectonics at work, what it looks like millions of years after it's uplifted from the ground. Okay, next. Here we have a great shot of Fairfax County motorcycles, adding depth and forming an oblique lawn. It's an interesting composition of the motorcycles in police formation. There's good detail in the choppers that holds your interest. But the way these things are lined up perfectly. They're all exactly in line with each other. And I think the composition is ideal. If you would have taken it straight on, you wouldn't have seen each of the tires, and you wouldn't have seen how well the choppers are all lined up. Very, very nicely done. Okay, next. Here's a DC mall scene with the monument well positioned. I think it could have been improved if the photographer stepped back and got some of the stone column on the right side also, instead of just having all stone on the left and nothing on the right. I think it would have framed the mall better than it is now. It would have been more like a framed picture, like you're looking through a window or something. But having the column just on one side with nothing on the other, I think takes away from it. Okay, next. Here we have really nice smoke trails. It has nice curves. The lighting and composition are very well done. These things are real creative, and I know you could spend a lot of time trying to get the shot that you want. But this too would make a very nice abstract. I think the lighting, the way it goes lighter at the bottom and darker at the top, and the smoke is thicker at the bottom and at the top. Your eye just follows from the bottom to the top, and you see all these changes in the composition. Nice smoke trail, well done. Okay, next. Now here's an architectural shot of a building through bars or reflection of another building. It looks like, to me, the building is in jail. It's like you're looking out through jailhouse bars of the building, or the building itself is in jail. I'm not sure if it's a reflection from one building to the other, because there's light on one side. I think there's a couple of nice triangles in here, in the upper right-hand corner or the bottom left-hand corner. But I'm not sure what the bars do to accentuate the building in the background. Okay, next. And here we have an architectural detail of a Gothic style building. I like this composition, the lines and the details. And the gargoyles, like all gargoyles, do add a lot of interest. Some of the gargoyles are duplicates like the lines, but they're not all duplicates. It's a good lineup, you know, a good review of the Gothic building. Okay, next. Here we had great depth on this image. The arches and repeating patterns add to the composition. The person at the very end of the walkway is a really nice touch. I think it really improves the image instead of just having a totally unhuman, you know, masonry image. To have somebody there at the very end in that position walking through the picture space really adds a nice touch to it. Okay, next. Now this zebra image is well rendered in monochrome. I like the fact that there's only a partial head showing. And the eye has a good spotlight in it. It's a great pattern and a great composition, but kind of an unusual shot for an animal, just showing half the head. But in this case, I think it really works. It works very well. Better, I think, than a full face-on shot that you see all the time with zebras. And this composition, this angle makes it quite unique and interesting. Okay, next. Here we have a series of shapes that make for a pattern on a light gray surface. It looks a bit like a double exposure, but you have the one oblong, and then you have the other one beside it that's kind of faded out. I'm sure it isn't a double exposure. It hasn't looked like it. I think it lacks the interest for me anyway. All right, that's it for that group. So how many honorables do we get?
2.
Yep, 2.
Okay. I'll take the third one from the right on the bottom is number 1.
From the right or from the left?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one.
Right, which one is that? 73. Right, got it.
The covered bridge is number 2. The flower macro, third from the left to the top row, number 3.
This one?
No, over
Oh,
2.
This one?
No, the fourth. I'm sorry, the fourth one.
Okay.
There they go. Yeah. The zebra as an honorable. And the motorcycle as an honorable.
Okay.
All righty. Number 1 is Ken Wilcox, and this is Venice Walkway.
I thought Ken was on earlier, but I guess he's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 2 is Bernice, and this is Head for the Bridge.
That was taken in Vermont, and it was a rainy day, and it was just a nice leading line there. And it was very, very pretty.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Hey, Ken, are you in? Are you
Ken just
unmuted?
popped up in the chat.
Oh,
Calling Ken Wilcox.
maybe his sound isn't working. It's okay.
Well,
Right.
congrats, Ken.
Yeah. Okay, number 3.
Number 3 is Marion, and this is a calla lily orb.
Love it. I almost did this type, Marion.
Oh,
Good thing I didn't.
Yeah, and not all of the images work to create an orb, but there's just certain ones that work, like this one. It just it turns around somehow and it creates a really neat pattern. So yeah, it's part of my macro flower photography that I love to do.
Beautiful.
Thank
And-
you.
Yeah. Zebra?
Oh, yeah.
Fred. Yeah, Fred.
Yeah, I was working on the pattern thing, and what I wanted to do, I thought, well, I had to process them to make it work better this close up, but also I was trying to break a few rules. So the aspect ratio and the composition was slated over.
Yeah.
That seemed to work out.
Yeah.
It was fun.
If you have his whole face, this would be a beautiful, just if you cut this, it just got his nose and everything. That would be so beautiful as a half a face.
Yeah.
For another competition, I guess. All right, and the last one,
Fred.
Oh, Fred, good job.
This is
This is Memorial Day at a barbecue. Who's the barbecue that always has free events on Memorial Day? Veterans based. They're in town. All the
Mission
police
Barbecue?
lined up. Who?
Oh,
Mission Barbecue?
Yes, Mission Barbecue in Fairfax. And I happened to be there for some other reason. And I caught all these guys lined up, and I had gotten some feedback before and had to do some cloning to make it really focus on the bikes and not other distractions. So there was some improvement on that to make it work. So it was fun.
Great. Good job. All right, so now we're into, let me double check, make sure
We're into experience color, and there are 12 images in here, so we get a first, second, and third.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Here's a nice arrangement of colorful bandanas. It's a good composition and has nice repeating patterns. I like the way the purple complements the brass color. It's just, also, if you look at it, you could see that the purple in the middle makes kind of a triangle to both ends of it. And you see the purple that goes, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of purple that go through the brass colored part. So it's interesting composition. Okay, next. And I think what makes this picture is the zigzag. The shadows they look like shadows, it could be something else. But the way they lay on the steps, they make interesting, nice patterns, and nice colors and composition. It's quite unique for a set of stairs to have this kind of a zigzag pattern going through. It's very well done. This is a really humorous image. It's quite creative. It makes a good use of color. It's unique. It's a unique and interesting creation. I mean, I'm not sure how you did this, but it's really, really interesting how the lines come down and they hit the umbrella and they just go around the umbrella just like water would, and they fall off to the side. I mean, really, really cool, really creative. Very, very, very humorous. Are we still having trouble with the audio?
It's just like a little bit of a sound coming through, but
Yeah, it went away right before you asked.
just everybody else, make sure you mute.
Okay, here we have a colorful image of circles emanating from off center. Great use of colors, shapes, and patterns. This just kind of expands from the very center circle, going out in lines and patterns and shapes and colors. And the colors aren't consistent. Each row of colors are in a different arrangement. So it's very colorful, very nice lines and shapes and patterns. Okay, next. Now here we have a bunch of fish heads, fish lined up in a row that make for an interesting shot. It's a good composition with sharp detail on the fish. I guess it looks like sardines or something. I really like the way the heads are coming in from different angles, one after the other, the whole line of heads. Sardines, yeah. Very, very nice. Very different. Okay, next. Now these waterfalls make a nice composition. The color of the water, though, doesn't appear natural. It's just kind of a tan color. I don't quite get that. And maybe too long a shutter speed. Sometimes when you're doing moving water, the shutter speed is so long it doesn't look like water. It looks like a fog or something. And a lot of people do that, and it does add an effect to it. But if you want it to look like water, you have to play around with the shutter speed. If you make it too long, you get a fog instead of water. But again, I don't know where the tan is coming from. It's on top of the waterfalls. It's on the bottom of the waterfalls. So I'm not really sure. Okay, next. Here we have good sharp detail with repeating patterns. Works really well in monochrome, even though this is a color category. There's good lighting with clouds reflecting off the glass windows, and you could see very clearly the clouds that are in back of the image. But the way you have a series of triangles, I think it really makes it a neat image. And all of the triangles, are lined up. The three in the dead center, you can see the full triangle. But then on each side, you see a partial triangle. Then just above the large triangle is a small triangle on the same pattern. And then you have triangles on the bottom. You have three triangles going across the bottom, four triangles going across the bottom. So it's really quite a bit of geometry. Then you have the rectangles in the glass itself, and you have rectangles, between the triangles. So this thing is really a lesson in the geometry. Very, very well done. Okay, next. And here we have a macro of what looks like a flower. And again, it's sharp in the very middle, but it's kind of soft around the outside. I think in this case it works. I think the sharpness, it isn't tack sharp, but it's sharp in the center. And the outside is a little bit soft. It's not so soft that you can't see any of the detail. You can see the detail fine. It's great color, and I like the fact that all the petals that emanate from the center, you know, really make it look like a kind of an explosion from the center. It's a well done macro. Okay, next. Here we have two spheres of green lines. There's green lines running through the spheres on a background of a green line pattern. And none of it is symmetric. Every place you look, the patterns are different, pretty much. And I like the way the two spheres come together. I guess the spheres are a reflection of neon lights. I can't really tell. But again, this is quite creative. It's quite colorful. Even though it only has one color, that color really stands out from the black background. I think what makes this the most are the lines and the shape. Very, very unique and very creative. Okay, next. Here's another good shot of colors and patterns. I think the glass in the center really makes it makes it more interesting. It's not really totally symmetrical, you know, up and down image. The glass really, and it reflects the colors of the patterns of the lines, but it also curves them. So again, another creative piece of work. I think the colors all complement each other with the yellow and the blue and the black. And I like the way in the bottom third of the picture, there's a crease, and then the lines move down in the downward direction. So very, very nice, very interesting, creative, well done, good composition, everything about it. A lot of triangles. Okay, next. An interesting architectural shot. The buildings on the right don't look quite real. I'm not sure. They're so light they don't. The buildings on the left certainly look real. But the ones on the right, it's hard to say, you know, what they are. Could they be a reflection? I don't see what they could be a reflection from or of. And I just don't know why they would be so light. But I like the way the buildings line up. I like the way they intersect with each other. I like the blue on the top of the windows that are reflections of the sky above. You don't see that in the lower part of the building, just the upper part, because it's reflecting the sky. So I'm not sure, like to say, why the buildings on the right are so light, but a good composition. Okay, next. Here we have a very weathered Adobe roof. You know, the Adobe tiles they're full of algae and all kinds of other growths. They're broken, they're dirty. They have mildew and mold and everything on them. But I mean, if you want to look for something that has really aged, I mean, this is a good shot of that. It's amazing that roof doesn't leak. Maybe it does leak. It looks like it would leak. So quite an interesting arrangement of Adobe tiles. Very, very aged. Looks like they've been there forever. Okay, next. Oh, that's it. Okay. So what do we have? Any honorables on this one?
Right, no, it's first, second, and third.
Okay.
Let me double check that real quick. I'm counting. Yep, first, second, and third.
I think I'll take the humorous one. The top row, third from the left, is number one.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, the top row, third from the left.
Okay, this one? Okay.
Yep. And the fourth from the bottom, the glass and all the colored lines. This next one is really tough. There's three of them that are equal in value to me, but I only get one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll take the green spheres because they're unique.
Okay.
But I like the fish and I like the triangles also.
All right, so the first one is Dan Gerard. It's called Patterns.
Patterns.
Is Dan on?
Nope.
Oh, all righty.
Okay.
Number 2 goes to Robert Miller, Stripes.
Very nice.
Thank you. I was just playing around at the home studio and I'd always wanted to try something with that water refracting lines behind it. So this is how it turned out.
Like it.
Very cool.
Thank you.
And number 3 is John. Aren't you glad you entered? Orb.
Yeah.
That was the name
Look
of
what
the piece.
look what can happen when you actually submit an image. So yeah, this is the crystal ball with the LED light stick technique that I demonstrated at my workshop a few months
Good
ago.
to be on time.
Yeah, right?
Very nice.
Very nice. Okay, same amount for this one. So
yeah. First, second, third.
Let me clean it up. Sorry. All right. Are we in? Is this the right order? No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay. Here we go.
What's this category again?
This is advanced black and white patterns.
Yeah.
This one you might not have gotten to because remember you said you ran out of time.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
So this one you have to do on the fly. This is going to be interesting.
Right. Yeah, this has a lot of nice ovals and a lot of nice shapes. And I like the way the black lines on both sides have, light dots coming through it. So I think this one is all about shape. And I think the monochrome is well done because you go from black to almost white with all these grays in between. But I think the best thing about this is the pattern. It's really nicely done. And that's well, here we have a turtle shell, but I don't know if there's a turtle in it or not. I can't see a head or legs or anything. So I really don't know what to say about this. It's just got a lot of, distractive, stuff in the ground, pieces of wood and roots and this and that. I'm not sure if it's a turtle or what it is. No. Okay, next please. This one really stands out because because of I think the background. The black background makes the monument just come forward. And with the Jefferson statue in the middle, that just adds to it. There's some light spots in the right and the left that you could get rid of. You could just darken them. I think it made it perfect composition. But I think that the fact that the background makes the monument just stand right out in every detail. And it's positioned just perfectly in the picture frame. You could see the marble, you could see, you know, everything about it. You could see all the details on the top. But I would definitely get rid of the white spots on both sides of the monument. Okay, next. Now this one is really interesting because it's, you know, it's just a roll of barbed wire. I mean, you could pass by this 100 times and never take a second look at it. But here, if you're looking through it, you get a whole different perspective of what it is. You're just looking at barbed wire, but the way the circular pattern of the barbed wire just takes your eyes right to the center. So I think this is interesting from the aspect of it's something that in everyday life you just walk right past and you never give it a second look. But here it's worth a second look, and it's worth taking a photograph of because it's very, very interesting composition. Okay, next. Now this looks like, I'm not sure what it is. Could be an octopus or something that suffers on it. There's a lot of detail in what may be the suckers. And it emanates from the center, you know, going down in different different parts of the image. The monochrome is kind of different because it's black and white or black and gray interspersed with each other. So there's not really a definitive color embarking. Okay, next. This is a great shot of this cocktail glass is turned upside down. You know, the bottom of it, you could see some sort of reflection. And the way they're lined up and the way they're, you know, the tops of them are shining and the way the light's reflecting off it just makes for a nice composition. You wouldn't think that lining up cocktail glasses would make a nice shot like this, but I think the way they're lined up and the way they're composed and the reflections of light and other things from the glass makes this a really, really nice shot. Okay, next. This is a dome of square patterns. You could tell it's dome shaped, you know, because of the way you're looking at it. So this is a very nice repeating. You know, there's actually two ways to look at this. You could look at it as a dome, or you could look at it as buttons like on the keyboard that are sticking up from the surface. I'm kind of seeing it both ways. But it's a nice dome with repeating patterns. And again, it works good in monochrome because all you have your white, you have the gray. There's some black in the corners, but mostly it's white and gray. So very, very nice, very well done. Next. I think this is a great vertical shot. It wouldn't work as a horizontal, but it works perfect as a vertical. Because you have your fire escape, which has been, you know, prominent in older buildings in older cities. And you have the white that's coming through some of the windows, although some of them are dark. But it has really nice detail. And you could see the windows, and you could see the brickwork, and you could see the fire exits. Very well done. And again, vertical. This is a great vertical shot. Okay, next. Now here's a flower macro where the petals are going from lighter to darker as you move from the center of the image to the outer part of the image. The petals also get bigger and open up as you move from the center to the outer part of the image. So it kind of like, it just it grows as you move from the center of the image to the outer part of the image. I think the petals are well reflected. You can see some texture in the petals. The very center is full of the smaller petals that are closed. The petals on the outside are open. So it's a nice macro, flower macro. Okay, next. Now here's a brown monochrome where you could see all the veins of the leaf, all the patterns of the veins and all the shapes of the veins. But I like the way the center stem moves right up from the very middle of the image, top to bottom. And then you could see all the smaller stems emanating from it right and left. And then you could see even the smaller stems emanating from that. So it's kind of like the veins in your body. It's really interesting macro shot because it shows all the detail. The larger stems, the mid-sized stems, the smaller stems, the patterns that are made by the stems. Very, very nice. There is some variance in the color, but not much. It's all tan color. It's very nicely done. Okay, next. Now here we have a bunch of glass bowls lined up. I like the reflections of the light off the glass. I think the depth of field is okay. You know, the ones at the bottom are sharp, the ones at the back are soft. I don't think a sharper depth of field would have done much good. But I think the white ping pong bowl and the glass behind that are distracting from the pattern of the other lines of glass. So I wouldn't have put that in there because I think it distracts from the symmetry of the glass bowls. I think the glass bowls are enough, you know, without the bowl and thing behind it. My opinion. Okay, next. And here we have a peaked roof of a building, snow covered. All the lines of the metal go in a direction and they meet in the center at the top, and they emanate in the lightning rod things that are coming out the very top. I think the clouds are nice. This also has some dust spots, quite a few of them on the right side of the image, could easily be removed. But I think the nice thing about this is the geometry of it. You have a lot of triangles, circles, straight lines. So in that respect, it's nice, but like the dust spots do take away from it. But they did in this image, the way that they stand out from the clouds. It looks like there's some birds flying, you know, but they're not. Okay, next.
That's it.
Good. What do we have here?
Okay,
First,
same
second,
as,
third.
yeah, first, second, third.
Okay. I think I'll take the monument for first. The leaf for second. And I'll take the barbed wire for third just because it's very unique.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1 is Dan Gerard. I don't think he labeled them. It's called Patterns. I don't think
Yeah.
Dave's here. He won the first one on the last category too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. This doesn't look like the image. The image that I showed had more black on the sides, and that's where that white
Well,
stuff. sticking
yeah,
out.
does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the way that Lightroom's set
Okay.
up, so yeah,
Kind of cropped it in.
yeah. Oops. All right, number 2.
Number 2 is for Mir. It's the Sepia poinsettia.
Yes, it's a poinsettia with a flash behind, shining through with a macro lens. I think I also had an extender and a very high f-stop to get everything sharp. And still wasn't all sharp because the leaf was not straight. But then turning it into monochrome helped kind of not see some spots that were kind of softer. But it kind of helped. The actual color was more yellowish, greenish, but then I liked it like this much better.
It's very pretty. Good job.
All right, number 3 goes to Denise. Called Pattern.
Called Pattern.
I know, me and Dan, man, we're on the same wavelength.
Uh-huh.
So this was actually taken at an active prison. And so it's not just a spool of barbed wire, but it's actually prison fencing at a prison in Maryland.
Was this on your way in or out?
Yeah, exactly. You know what they did actually? I don't know if they're still doing it. I'm not sure that this part of the prison is open anymore, but it was a thing for people to bring their kids. I mean, it was for a tour of the active prison. It was the old side of the prison. But it was really meant for people to bring their kids to give them a sense of what prison would be like if they did stupid shit. And we went so we could go into to the active prison. So it was as we were going in that I shot that. That's the fencing. Yeah, it was about scared straight kind of thing.
I have 2 teenage boys. Maybe I should sign them up.
Yeah, you might just keep your eye open because it might be another one out there doing the same thing. It's like a scared straight program.
Oh
wow. Very cool. So these are all your first place for the evening. So Ellis, if you could give us your best in show for the evening.
I think I'm going to pick the Smithsonian walkway. Now that I know it is a Smithsonian walkway. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. That's very different.
All right, that one's Fred Gillis, Vanishing Point.
Great job, Fred.
Oh, thank you. I did not expect that. I was already focusing on something else. I see images.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you, Ellis, for all of your critique and your
Thank you.
time that you've put into this. He spent a good amount of time before looking through everything for us, so that was really great.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing.
A lot of really nice work. A lot of tough decisions for me. You know,
Yeah.
I'll sleep good tonight.
Yeah.
I hope. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have these images in my brain.
Oh, I hope not. Awesome. Well,
very nice.
Anybody else have anything else?
No. Wish everybody well. Stay well. Get your shots.
Yeah.
Or don't.
Or don't, yeah. We were discussing the side effects earlier, so.
I had real bad side effects.
Yeah.
I just had my last shot on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I was just